Let's tackle the BCF calculations. To start off, we've got our equation, which is BCF, which stands for bioconcentration factor. That is equal to CB, which is the concentration of the chemical that's found in the biota, which is the living thing, so either the plants or the animals, divided by the CW, which stands for the chemical concentration that's found in the water. So bioconcentration factor is equal to the concentration of chemicals found in the living organism divided by the concentration of the chemicals that are found within the water. Let's start with our initial equation of BCF is equal to CB over CW. We know that BCF is really BCF over 1. Now what we're going to do is we can cross multiply. We can multiply BCF by CW and then multiply CB by 1. That will give us CB is equal to BCF times CW. And there's our first equation that's rearranged. If we work with that equation, CB is equal to BCF times CW. Now we already know what BCF would be by itself. So if we had to solve for BCF, we're golden. If we want to solve for CB, we're golden. But now, what if we want to solve for CW? Well, what you need to do is you want CW by itself. So what could you do on this side of the equation in order to isolate for CW? Well, to me, the most obvious thing would be to divide by BCF. That way, you can cancel those out. But what you do to one side, you need to do to the other. So if we divide by BCF on one side, we need to divide by BCF on the other side. And then now, if we were to rewrite our equation, we are going to get CW is equal to CB over BCF. And now we've got our 3 equations that are rearranged. Let's tackle the first homework question. The first step is you need to write down what the question is giving you. And the question is giving you the CW, which is equal to 5.3%. It's also giving you CB, which is 0.5%. Then you need to write down what the question is asking for, so what's required, and what it's asking for is BCF. So BCF is equal to what? The next step is A for analysis, and you need to write down the equation. So BCF is equal to CB over CW. Then the next step, substitute and solve. So we're just going to sub in the values that we were given into our equation. So BCF is equal to 0.5% divided by 5.3%. Once you plug that into your calculator, you'll get 0.094339. Now we need to round our answer to the correct number of sig figs. To determine how many sig figs our answer requires, we need to refer back to the question. Their question here gives us 2 values. The first value has 2 sig figs, and the second value has only 1 sig fig. That means that our final answer only needs 1 sig fig. If we were to round 0.094339 to just 1 sig fig, it would be 0.09. And now our last step of grasp, P for paraphrase. Therefore, the bioconcentration factor is 0.09. This is the second homework question. The first step is you need to write down what the question gives you. The question gives you CB is equal to 0.0098%. It also gives you BCF, which is 2.89. The next step is to write down R for what's required. The question is asking for CW. It's asking for the concentration of the chemical in the water. A for analysis. This is the equation that I will always give you on any quiz, test, or exam. BCF is equal to CB over CW. You need to be able to rearrange that to get CW is equal to CB over BCF. If you forget how to do that, you can rewind the video and watch the beginning. The next step is S for substitute and solve. You need to sub in the values that are given to you into your equation. That would be 0.0098% divided by 2.89. When you plug that into the calculator, you will get 0.003391003%. Now, this answer has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 sig figs. But your question, the values they give you, this has 2 sig figs and this has 3 sig figs. That means your final answer only needs to be in 2 sig figs. So you need to be able to convert this number into 2 sig figs. You know that this is 1 sig fig. This here's 2. That makes it 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And so that means you only need 2 sig figs. So if you were to round this value, it would become 0.0034. The reason why this got rounded up to 4 is because this is 9. So since it's a value greater than 5, this value here gets rounded up. Now the last step, P for paraphrase. Therefore, the CW is 0.0034%. Last but not least, the third homework question. The first step is to write down what the question is giving you. It's giving you BCF, and that is equal to 7.81. It's also giving you the concentration that's found within the water, and that's 34.35%. Next, R, you need to write down what's required. It's asking you for the chemical concentration within the muscle, so CB is equal to question mark. A for analysis is where you need to write down the equation that you're going to use. And in this case, I'm using CB is equal to BCF times CW. You can rewind the video in case you forget how to get that. The next step, S, to substitute and solve. So you're subbing in the given values into the equation you're going to use. That would be CB is equal to 7.81 multiplied by 34.35%. Once you plug that into your calculator, you will get 268.2735%. Now what you need to do is look at the question and see how many sig figs they are giving you. This here has 3 sig figs. This here has 4 sig figs. That means your final answer needs to be in the least number of sig figs. So it needs to be in 3 sig figs, but this has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. To round that to just 3 sig figs, it would be rounded to 268%. And the last step is P for paraphrase. Therefore, the CB is 268%. If you have any questions, you can always rewind the video, or you can ask me for extra help during lunch or after school.